Welcome to another edition of A New Economic Reality with your money charmers, Sabira Falami, who's waving at you, and me, Latanya Taylor, and our other host, Sandra Cheney, is still on vacation, enjoying her charm in some beautiful waters and beaches and economic reality and all of that good stuff. Money Farmers, Sabira Falami, who's waving at you. I hear a little feedback. Just got rid of it. All right. So today we are entering into the second part of our new economic reality series, ready to deliver to you another part of our sharing this month on the spiritual entrepreneur. And we definitely want to dive into the spiritual entrepreneur in great detail with you this month in 4 parts. So today we're going to give you the first part with principles coming from both of us on that are money charm principles that you can use as an entrepreneur, whether you are starting a business, you're in business, or you want to shift your existing business. You know that we've been talking about money, 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 my own natural energy yield. So when we refer to money in this series, we are talking always about my own natural energy yield. Emphasis can be placed on each word, my, meaning we're not just focused outside of ourselves about what is going on. We are the asset that we are working with. We are the corporation. We are the abundance. We are the current. Please understand that part. We are the current. And so in order to get into the flow of any type of investments, in any type of fiat, because what we call money is promissory notes, also known as fiat money. We explained that in our very first edition of A New Economic Reality. Please check out that video to get the context of what I'm saying. But when we talk about fiat, we are talking about getting into the flow, so that we're talking about real estate, investments, fiat, and also just mind, body, and spirit shifts, such that we can attract experiences as well. Sometimes we are really looking to create very wealthy and rich experiences, but we get stuck on the how. We get stuck on how am I going to do it, because we've been given prescriptions that may or may not work for us. And so this month, we are going to talk a lot more about entrepreneurship and the spiritual entrepreneur. And so today, what is the difference? What is the spiritual entrepreneur? Mm-hmm. And how is the spiritual entrepreneur any different than any other entrepreneur? You know, there's so many types of entrepreneur titles that are being claimed right now, which I love. You have people calling the mompreneur, who are mothers and an entrepreneur. You have particularly women who refer, when we collaborate and do joint venture partnerships, we call ourselves sisterpreneurs. But in this case, we are talking about the spiritual entrepreneur. Well, one key thing, it's kind of hard not to talk about the spiritual entrepreneur when all 3 of us presenting to you are ministers. We are preaching, teaching, coaching ministers.
Yes, we are.
And I know some people who have left the church or who are not in a traditional paradigm. Sometimes they refer to themselves as former ministers, and we're not former. All of our work is integrated. And one of the things that I like to define the spirit for the spiritual entrepreneur is it's circular. My life, my work are not compartmentalized.
Yep.
And when you're on a 9 to 5, or when you've been trained by this world, you're told on a 9 to 5 or in preparation for a career, leave your personal life at home, handle your emotions, don't show any weakness. Women in particular aren't supposed to do certain things. And for the spiritual entrepreneur or the holistic entrepreneur, there is no disconnect. There is no separation. We're bringing it all together, mind, body, and spirit. And so that approach allows us to show up as authentically us, to show up as enough, to be able to let our life purpose, remember when the Purpose Driven Life was a blockbuster seller? There were all kind of cell groups popping up to discuss the Purpose Driven Life. Well, how can you have such a purpose driven life, but we have been taught that we have to compartmentalize? And even in ministry, I want to talk to the ministers too, because I know that Sabira and I in particular do attract a lot of clients who are first ladies, ministers, teachers, healers, practitioners in some way. We've been taught to even compartmentalize in ministry, that I can't be authentically who I am all the time. I have to appear this way for this audience and this way for another audience. And what that does, it creates a lot of people who are living lies, who are living in pretense. And that is a form of lack. It's a form of lack consciousness. And while we may look on the outside and see people who prosper, quote unquote prosper, when we look at fiat money, we end up coaching those people who are miserable in their lives because they have the material things. They may have the assignment, the position, the leadership. However, there's an element of who they authentically are. Let's also talk about those of you who may be younger and you feel called to be an artist, but you're in medical school. Or you are a creative in every way, but you can't see how that is going to make a living. Trust me, both of us are old enough to tell you that we've been there. I cannot tell you how many people I know I'm talking to who went to school to major in one thing and minor in another. And the minor thing ends up being the thing that is your quote unquote ticket to your wealth, abundance, prosperity, or money. And boy, the spiritual entrepreneur, first of all, and we're not talking about religious. I want to make sure you understand that. You don't even have to use the word God to be spiritual. I know that might upset some people's apple cart. Because the spirit, to be spiritual is the integration of relationship to all things, including your purpose, including the desires of your heart, including the vision that you have for your life, whether you are clear about all the details of it or not. The spiritual man and woman, you are always nurturing and developing your spirit man, for the lack of better. When I use man, I'm not excluding women. I'm talking about human. And so, Sabira, I know that you also have a definition of the spiritual entrepreneur. What does that mean to you? Sabira? Uh-oh. Having some technical difficulties. Sabira? Sabira.
Oh, I got you now. Okay. I think we were buffering over here. I think we were buffering. I got you now. So you probably asked my definition of spiritual entrepreneur. Was that right?
Yeah. What does it mean to you?
So I love this. I got to tell you, I really love working with spiritual entrepreneurs. I love talking with spiritual entrepreneurs. I love entrepreneurism, period. But I really, really love spiritual entrepreneurs. And that's because, first of all, we have to say, I feel we all may come with a little bit different understanding of what does spiritual mean.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, spiritual has a meaning that because of a personal, very intimate experience that a person has had with the divine, whatever you call it, God, Allah, Jehovah, and so forth, Allah, Buddha, whatever you call the divine, however it has made itself known and named in your world is cool and good with us. And I know I can speak that for Latanya and Sandra as well.
Yes.
So spiritual for me means I have had a personal, very intimate understanding and experience with the divine. And that experience has, over time, and I will tell you, was no, bolt of lightning and anything like that. It's a relationship. Very sweet relationship over time, revealing to me more about the truth of who I am, the truth of who you are, and why you came to the planet. I believe that the spiritual, like you said, Latanya, the idea is one of being holistic, that there is no separation. So I learned that once you come to know that your very life has encoded in it your reason for being on the planet. It has your purpose, going back to the purpose-driven life. Mm-hmm. It is encoded. The patterns, they're all connected. If you go all the way back to your childhood, the things you love to do, your biggest lessons, the way they came to you, those patterns, if you begin to really study those patterns, the art that you love to do, or in my case, the athleticism that I've always had, the spiritual experience, along with the fact that I have come to know, and I believe that those patterns, those things that we love to do, being that they're our purpose, will also pay us. They will support us. And so that your beingness plus your vision, put those things together. If you've got the drive, even if you don't naturally have it, but maybe you put yourself around people who do, entrepreneurism can be learned. So you have the spiritual, you have these experiences, you have these things that you innately love to do, who you are in your beingness. Mm-hmm. And then you connect that with some solid skill sets around entrepreneurism. Mm-hmm. When you connect that with some solid skill sets, you will in fact be supported by doing what you naturally love to do, because you're bringing the value is you. The value is your energy. The value is your love. The value is your passion. People feel that coming off of you. It's like effervescent. And if you've got a structure around you, if you've got a framework around you to deliver your passion, your purpose, your effervescence, your charm. Look, people love to watch a fire. They love to watch it burn, baby, burn. They want to see that. They want to watch a life on fire. And if you, when you begin to live your life on fire with just what you love, and you learn the skill sets of an entrepreneur, you will be supported by those things that you love. So that's, yes.
And what's important to know is we are still talking about making money. We're about to go into some principles. And I'm careful about the word making money, because it has an inherent implication of struggle. It has an inherent implication of efforting, And there is a distinction, because we've been so taught that they have to be so separate. And when you really start to talk to or listen to people who are, because there's levels, there's a whole level of consciousness even to money that I'm learning, beyond six figures. Then there's beyond another level of millionaire status. And then there's levels to the millionaire. There's a level of consciousness even to those who have quote unquote made it. There's a level of conversation. There's a level of access. There is a level of energetic exchange. In fact, when we start talking more in our private group about money, there is, a lot of times when we see certain things, right, we try to apply common law to uncommon situations. So many of us, because what we're talking about all the time is spiritual law on this broadcast. But there's levels even to spiritual law. Beyond the religion, you start to access universal law, but there are other laws that are in place when it comes to money, fiat money, investing, and that type of thing. And so when you talk about even those of you who feel, because we are talking to the person who leads their life or wants to lead their life with spirit leading. And that's a distinction, and it's a certain population of us. Some of you are empathic and you feel things deeply. Some of you are motivated by your art or being creative. Some of you are motivated by service and humanitarian efforts. There's a whole genre of social entrepreneurship where there's a shift happening where people are not just creating nonprofits and then begging foundations to fund them. And I wish Sandra was here, because she could talk about this quite a bit. But even in my background in public and private partnership, the social entrepreneur is mission driven, but it is a service to humanity. And so I'll give you an example. There's a group of that was bringing water to a particular tribe or an area in Africa that really needed clean water. And they were really committed to this because they were moving about, doing different type of humanitarian volunteer projects. They saw a need. And instead of going to beg the government or to beg funders, they created a entrepreneurship stream, I should say a financial stream, and they started making soap. And people invested in the soap. And now when you go into Starbucks, you'll even see certain products that are attached to a cause. That is social entrepreneurship. Same thing as spiritual entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please jump in.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that, when I think about being a spiritual entrepreneur, for me, the first thing that comes to mind is being a beneficial presence on the planet.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Being one who is awake, who is aware, who is in alignment with my purpose for being. Okay, so when I think about entrepreneur, that's what I think about. Now, it's not that I'm not thinking about generating an income, and a very nice income for myself, but what I know is that if I am in alignment, if I'm aware that there's only one thing happening all the time, I am here to do one thing. Now, it may manifest in a lot of different ways.
Right.
But they're all going to this one thing. I do yoga, which looks completely different than social media management, that looks completely different than being a minister sometimes. However, you can ask my students, when we're on the mat, I'm ministering. I'm ministering through touch. I don't say a word about my philosophical, my understanding of the divine, but I bet you they all feel it in my tone of voice. They all feel it in when I touch and adjust their hips or whatever to get them in the right position. That is who I am. So it's about bringing that value, being a value creator in the marketplace, in my niche.
I can relate to that because when you were sharing, I remember a time in my life when I knew that there was more. And I know that there's somebody else who's having that conversation. I remember catching the train in DC, from Maryland into downtown DC. And I watched, one day I just watched everybody get off, rush onto the train, to rush off the train, to rush to the platform. And I stood back. I unplugged from being on automatic. And I knew that there was more to my life than that. And I know that that somebody else is having that type of conversation. Mm-hmm. But I would say to myself, well, I'm not sure, I need to do this. And, the spirit of comparison started, and looking at being in a competitive market about, well, a lot of people have degrees in this, and they have an advanced degree. And my purpose had been always in my face, right in my face. Mm-hmm. When I was a little girl, I always knew, always played school. I always was a teacher. Okay. And even in my relationships, I can't help but teach. Wherever I go, I'm teaching. If I learn it, I want to give it away. When I find out information, I want to share it. I'm always learning, teaching. Nobody had to tell me to do this. It was in me. And the more I began to just see it, like it's been there all along. And I even majored, and went to, initially I went to do pre-law thinking that I'd be an attorney, only to.
I didn't know that, Latanya.
Yeah. Only I put it, I have it in my bio, only to teach spiritual law. I am a lawyer, spiritual lawyer.
Love it. Love it.
And then, back in the day, they used to tell you, you want to have a backup plan while you're in law school. So naturally I chose elementary education. So I, went on to do elementary education at Southern University in Baton Rouge. Shout out to the Jaguars, SU. And, then later I ended up, I love educational psychology so much. So here's the merge starting to happen. And I do want to take a minute to talk to someone, because I have clients who come to me and they come thinking, well, here's my desire and here's where I want to get to. Mm-hmm. And we work on their vision. And oftentimes other things will manifest in the process. And that's where I was. I was in the process of looking at how I was going to contribute, because I knew I didn't want to keep complaining. I knew that I was in violation of spiritual law every time I was complaining. I knew that I was creating situations like layoffs, contracts ending, shifts happening on jobs because of my consciousness. Yes, you are that powerful to create layoffs, to create suddenly being fired, the loss of clients, the loss of contracts. You are that powerful. And energetically, we have a collective consciousness. So don't go into collective group talk about the economy is bad, we're in a recession. When you join in, it becomes your reality. And the spiritual entrepreneur has to be held accountable at that level. So we want to talk about some principles today. Sabira, you want to get into your principle today to really hone in on this spiritual entrepreneurship?
Yes, and this is one that was taught to me by one of my mentors at Intervisions. She consistently drove home daily practice.
Yes.
The importance of daily practice. And that was Rev Bev. Daily practice. If I don't remember anything else, especially when you are aligning your life, which means your business, again, none of it is compartmentalized and separate.
Correct. So
every day, my first committee meeting is with who? The divine. That's Lord and Taylor. That's how he got his name for his business. Lord and Taylor. If you look up that story, because he said, my partner is the Lord.
Oh, I love it. I did not know that.
That's how he got the name of Lord and Taylor.
And I like that because I'm a Taylor.
Right. I knew you would. So I have a committee meeting every morning with my people. Okay. And then once I'm clear and I'm solid there, I know the direction I need to go, the things I need to accomplish that day. There is a daily practice that comes from my self-care. Look, being an entrepreneur, there is a level of energy you have to hold just to hold a vision.
That's
because
right.
A lot of times, nobody else in your environment, when the vision is dropped into your mind, nobody else might not see it, hear it, smell it. They may think you're crazy. You might think you're crazy.
Preach.
So you have to, on a daily basis, have in front of you your vision. If it's a list, if it's a picture, however it is you are going to be able to absorb and be able to keep at the forefront of your mind where your ship is going, what you are on this earth to do. Okay? Daily practice. Make sure you have your own committee meeting with whoever you fill in the blank about who your committee is. On a daily basis, as an entrepreneur, you need to keep your body in shape. So that means you will always see me walking around with water. That is not only because it's good for my body, but as an entrepreneur, I know I've got to be clear. I've got to be flushing. I need to be able to hear the directions. I need to be able to be aware when opportunities are coming my way. And you do that by keeping your cells flushed all day, water all day, as much fresh fruit and vegetables and whatever it is that's good for your body. Daily basis. Figure out what that means for you. Several times a week, exercise. That is important for an entrepreneur. It's important for us all, but it's important for an entrepreneur because, look, I don't know. I know LaTanya does not finish the end of her day and go and sit in front of the TV for 4, 5, and 6 hours a night. That is not what an entrepreneur does, right? You're going to probably work harder and longer for yourself, especially at the beginning, than you do as an employee. When you can go in 9 to 5, click, you're done. That's not how it is for us. This is our life. So this is a 24/7 thing. You may be getting things downloaded to you in dreams. Who knows? So, it's taking care of your mind, taking care of your body, taking care of your spirit, taking and honing in what are those activities, those income generating activities that you need to do during those income generating hours. Every day you have to be doing those things, or else you're not in business. So, and all of that converges in your life, in your business, to increase your energy so that your yield becomes more and more with each quarter or with each year. It also means paying attention to your relationships, with other entrepreneurs, connecting so that you can go to a higher level. All of those things. So my principle that I want to leave everyone with for this show is daily practice.
And I would think that one of those principles in a daily practice, particularly for a new entrepreneur or someone who is on the path as a spiritual entrepreneur, that whether you're in marketplace ministry, whether you're in the healing arts, or whether you just have something that is changing the lives of others in some meaningful way, and you're very connected to that, is it to be coachable, to be teachable. Because many of us, particularly as women, and that's who we're talking to mainly, we get really stuck on doing it alone by ourselves, and oftentimes we are trying to prove things to someone, to some program, in an inner program that we have had inserted along our way, whether the program was poverty, whether the program was not enough, not good enough, not acknowledged, rejected. And so even your achievements sometimes can be motivated by the pain body. And so being coachable and being teachable is very important, because coaches, teachers help you to be able to see what you cannot. Everybody has a blind spot. And not just one-time coaching, being in a continual process. I'm always looking for the next level of instruction. Of course, there'll be a time where you may not need it, but even after that, there's instruction and growth in partnership, because you can't come to the table as if other people don't have something to contribute. So I just, in the daily practice, if you find yourself and you've been in a business for a long time and you're stuck, or you've been on a job for a very long time, sometimes it's not as technical, and that's what I think we bring to the table. Is yes, there's a lot of people out here teaching you the technical aspects, and we will in the Money Charm Club are doing the same. However, the spiritual conversation is not a popular one to have, because people want to get there fast and they want to get there quick. And the daily practice helps to build you. It helps to build you so that when nothing's coming in, or when it looks dismal, your cup is already full. Because when you're completely empty, that is when you spaz out. And when you spaz out, you attract more of the panic, more of the fear. I tell the story all the time. I have wrote sermon after sermon on faith, have taught faith, have taught classes about faith, praise, and worship. I've done metaphysics, universal law, sensuality. But baby, as we say in New Orleans, baby. Faith is more than an intellectual, theological conversation when it's time for you to act. Nobody could teach me. I mean, I had to be in the experience of it. And my daily practice had to be so tight that there were certain conversations I couldn't have or could not engage until my faith muscle had gotten stronger for my business, for my gift, because everybody, you know, some people have a natural hustle instinct. I didn't have a hustle instinct. I was a good girl. I was taught to conform. You go to school, you get a good job, you retire, you white picket fence, you get a husband, all that stuff. My life got interrupted because my passion, my desires was growing so strong in me. I am lost without the spiritual. I can't. My, you know, Iyanla says to us all the time, my life is not my own. So what I'd like to offer to you, because as far as my principle is, this doesn't mean, when we talk about this, it does not mean that what you've been doing is wrong. It doesn't mean that the way anybody else is approaching it is excluding spirituality. Many mainstream people really are deeply spiritual. They just don't talk about it or contextualize it, or they use other words for it. Boy, I'd love to tell you about all of the words in corporate America that make you feel comfortable, that were born from
we'll have
spiritual.
to do that one day.
Yeah, we do, because
you know why I say that? Because it is, before we create something like out here, this pen, we got to think about it, and then you got to speak about it. So when people are using words, when entrepreneurs are using words, or words are being used into us and we don't know it, what it really means, that's powerful.
Well, and I'm also talking about systems like Myers-Briggs. I'll never forget the time when I had a dear friend who was very religious. She was in the church, and that particular system screened out anything. In fact, they called it witchcraft. They called anything ungodly. And I think I was talking about astrology and signs. And she was like, I don't do that. You know, I'm Christian. I don't deal with that. But the next week, she was taking a Myers-Briggs test. Not Myers-Briggs, the Enneagram personality test, the color wheels, all of those things are born from spiritual systems. That's what I'm referring to in this case.
Yes.
But they have been repackaged. And as it should, because you do have people from all walks of life who can't, you know, we talk God, we talk religion, but it's the most divisive force in the world right now. Is religion. And so, as it should in a business setting, you do need to neutralize it and whitewash it. But what I'm telling you, y'all, it is ancient spiritual practice. So as we are talking here, and I agree with you, Sabira, as far as the manifestation part, but they are born from spiritual systems. So what I want to offer to you all is something that I teach my private clients, and I want to go into detail in it this month, because to be spiritual does not mean that it overrides being wealthy and successful. I want to say that again.
I'm with you on that one.
To be spiritual does not mean that we are canceling out any desires that we have for nice things, for luxurious experience, for elegance in our lives, for the good life. Okay. But many of us don't look at how we're playing. And I want to introduce to you 4 ways to play as we talk about spiritual entrepreneurship. And I want to ask you, are you playing to win, playing not to lose, just playing, or not playing at all? Many of us who are spiritual are not playing. What do I mean by that? So glad you asked.
I love that.
Yeah, Sabira said it already. She gave you one answer, and that's the daily practice. The daily practice gets you in the game. Another part of daily practice is imagination, but actually nurturing a vision and then acting. Because many of us can talk spiritual consciousness. We can talk about Kemet, ancient Kemet. We can talk about universal laws. We can quote scriptures. We can, all the things that make you quote unquote spiritual. We can wear the garb, natural hair. We can talk about all that stuff. And then we're not really playing. Earlier, both of us alluded to two things that's a key element in terms of relationship. When we're not playing, you know, this internet will make you think that you're in relationship with people, places, and things. And oftentimes you're not. And so sometimes not playing is not really showing up for yourself, for your vision, and most of all, holding yourself accountable and taking risks. Not playing is watching the game happen, constantly reading books, constantly feeling like I need to get more, and never starting with something. And that is why a key component of the Money Charm Club is in order to enter, you must start with the action, not just a payment to us, but a payment to yourself.
Absolutely.
So that you can shift the worth conversation, the deservability conversation, and you can feel good about investing in yourself. Not playing can look like not having a personal development budget, meaning you know you want to get somewhere in your life. You have a vision, but you haven't looked at, when you budget your life, your personal investments in your own growth, personal growth and development. But yet you'll go to a job and complain that they won't grow you, they won't teach you. Spiritual entrepreneurship and a daily practice and looking at how we're playing in our life it's like praying and then getting up and canceling out your prayers with your doubt is not playing, right? But spiritual entrepreneurship also is about right now, where you are, where it's not when I get there. It's starting where you are right now. And some of you may need to start with an exit plan. How do I begin to exit from where I am? How do I start up to the thing that I want to do? And then take the risk. If you look at what I'm saying and you haven't been playing in your life, then it's time for you to get in the game and not just sit in the stands and talk about how the quarterback or the defensive end should have ran a different play, because we're good at that. We're good at talking about how somebody had the ball and they should have passed the ball to somebody else. We're good at looking at the sermon and saying, I would have preached it this way. We're real good at sitting on the sidelines and talking about, well, she could have made her face up this way. No, you be the makeup artist. Call me and tell me, give me some tips. That's action. Become a contribution where you are right now. Yeah. Show up right now, wherever you are, as authentically in your gift, walking in your gift. And one last thing I will say, if you can take away from the not playing, ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
I love that. I love that. And that is an entrepreneur all day long. All day long. I'm not asking for permission. I'm gonna do it and be like, oops, messed up. Let me read course correct. Good.
Yeah. So Sabira, I know we're getting ready to close out, and I know we're going to be bringing people into the Money Charm Club all this week. This is the first week of August, right? We already have it set up. We've already invited some of you to join us. If it's for just a pair of shoes at DSW back there on the sales rack, honey.
Yeah.
You know, the little ledger with the color codes, you know, it's less than a pair of good shoes, not just any pair of shoes now. a pair of good shoes. Mm-hmm. Or a real good meal.
Mm-hmm.
We're inviting you to join us in this Money Charm Investment Club. The investment begins with yourself. And it doesn't matter if you have launched your business or not. We will be able to set you up, get you started, get you in motion, or at least get you in motion around setting up your exit fund. Isn't that exciting? Think about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is hugely exciting to actually have a community and have coaches that will support you in creating a plan, creating a strategy. Mm-hmm. Whether that is to exit where you are, to grow your vision. There is so much that the three of us bring to the Money Charmer Club that you're going to receive. The coaching alone for 3 coaches, that alone would cost you well in excess of $1,000 a month. Well in excess of $1,000 a month.
Correct.
For 3 solid coaches. However, we believe that coaching is important. So on a group level, we will be able to bring that to you. And that's going to be private. So, you know, honestly, as an entrepreneur, the first person that has to believe in you, the first person that has to invest in you is you. Mm-hmm. You cannot expect, I always find this really interesting when someone is says they're an entrepreneur and they've got something to sell, something that you want to offer to the marketplace, but you haven't invested in it yourself. Let me tell you what, customers, potential clients, they know when you're out of integrity. Energetically, they may not say it to you. Well, they do say it to you. Why? Because they don't invest with you. They know when something is awry. Energetically, there's that almost a kind of a neediness or something. Mm-hmm. So we want to support you in eliminating any of that energy. The only way to eliminate it is that you have your own energy yield that you've begun to pay into. You know, I kind of think of like a well. When you go to a well, I don't know how many of you, wells are old, but I grew up in Kansas. You know, I mean, I'm from Kansas City, and that ain't nothing but a bunch of farm fields and sunflower seeds and sunflower fields and things like that. They still have farms with wells. And so, you know, a well is going to provide water for you. But especially if that well hasn't been pumped in a while, the first thing you have to do is get that handle, and you got to pump and nothing is coming out for a while.
That's so true.
And you are working and then all of a sudden you get a trickle, and then but after a while you get a deluge, and then shortly after that the well is full and overflowing. But listen, the first investment is you have to do the work yourself. The well is not going to deliver to you anything until you put in. You got to. Yes.
They call that priming the pump.
Priming the pump. You got to prime the pump. That's right. You from down south, girl. You know about pumps and stuff.
Yes, indeed. Mississippi all day, girl.
So we got to prime the pump. We want to give you an opportunity to prime your own pump. We'll be able to do all sorts of things expansive that go beyond that, but it begins with your well.
Prime the pump.
Prime the pump. And you got to dig your well before you need water, people. You got to dig your well before you need water. I guarantee you, when you own a business, this is another fallacy. LaTanya, and I know you can attest to hearing this one. Entrepreneurs, especially when we begin, because we're on the internet and we hear that you don't need any money to start a business. You can do it all for free. I'm sorry, but that's a lie. I'm here to tell you, it doesn't have to be expensive, but you must, look, that is a spiritual principle, is you have to invest.
It really is. It really is. And I want to share personally on that investment note really quick. When I first went full-time, because I'd been running my business part-time, which is also an option for someone who's listening. You don't have to, if suddenly doesn't work for you, no worries. You don't have to terrorize yourself. But sometimes you have a suddenly in your life, and I had a suddenly in my life, and I had invested in other things before you heard me tell the story. So I didn't have a safety plan. And I went into like so much panic because the funds were low. The business was slow. It was during the holidays. I honestly, it was the worst feeling I'd ever felt. And I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell certain of my friends, because I always had the thing that if I asked you for something, I wanted you to know that I really needed it. And I was right there at the edge of just not knowing how I was going to pay my rent. I didn't know. And here is what's key as a spiritual entrepreneur, as a practitioner, as a metaphysician, as an ordained minister. I had to start holding myself accountable for my own natural energy yield. I swear to you. I remembered that I am money. I am my own natural energy yield. And I knew that in order to shift my conversation, I had to get into service. When I had it looked like zero income coming in, I got into service. And that is an investment. When Sabira says you got to invest in something, I got into service. I gave my gifts and talents away for free. A lot of times, many people in this day and age are just trying to get paid. That energy, and it doesn't turn over as quick as you want to. The spiritual entrepreneur unplugs. There I go again. And goes within and shift in their own natural energy yield. It was the best thing that I could have ever done for my business. And now I do it regularly. As a product, Super Soul Sisters Sunday, it's to serve groups that I run. It's my way. It's my give back. I really do about that. When you mentioned invest, because when you're in the middle of your business and you feel like nothing is working, I used to be with a MLM, and one of the things that was we gave away, and now you as a model, and you give the product away. Here, sample it. You start with the offer, with the giveaway. That's right. So we got a couple of minutes left, so I want to just share something that happened today, y'all, literally about 3 hours ago. So for the last few months, I have been teaching yoga, which is my business model. I've been teaching yoga literally been giving it away at this particular location. But I knew in my mind, I already saw, I had the vision. I said, you know what? Planting the seeds, something huge is going to break somewhere else in my life. Some seed somewhere is going to pop open as I'm planting over here.
And I'm teaching week after week at every single Sunday, every week. I get a phone call this morning from a gym owner who says, Sabira, I want to give you a key to the gym. And rather than you teaching yoga under my brand, how about you now teach it under your brand? You can have a key, you come in here whenever you want, run your marketing, you can run workshops here, anything you want. Y'all, if it doesn't get any better,
that is awesome. And that's flow.
Better than that. But I primed the pump.
But that's also flow.
That is flow.
Because people are looking for checks in the mail and big salaries, or equating their wealth by just their network. But that right there is a value. That's a value. That's currency. That's energy. Yep. That's money. It may not be fiat yet, but the fiat is coming.
Well, now the thing is, I have the space,
right,
to bring my value on an even larger scale.
Yes,
to the marketplace locally, and because we're all entrepreneurs in here, so I'm just going to share a little tidbit. So when I grow a local community,
yes,
this is like the microcosm. This is a laboratory for me to come in and play with my vision.
Yes,
and tighten things up.
And
so that when I take it to the larger scale, when it becomes the macrocosm,
yeah,
I've got all the bells and whistles. I've got all the kinks worked out. All my systems work. My marketing is in place. Y'all, you got to make the investment in yourself, in your business. Pay yourself first.
Yes. And I love it. You always, and this is why we work so good together, because you always remind me of these little valuable moments as we close out. I'm just going to take permission and ask for forgiveness later. But, same thing happened. And a shout out to the Juicy Butterflies. I'm representing you with the Juicy Spirit today.
Juicy Butterflies.
And Sabira is a Juicy Butterfly.
Yes, I am.
I have been holding the vision for a retreat in Costa Rica with some small groups. And actually, when they say your gift will make room for you, just as we meet on every Sunday in Super Soul Star Sunday, it's been so powerful. The sisters now have been doing their research. They are almost forcing me to have a retreat in this springtime. Now, I'd already envisioned it. I'd already been scoping it out, but I thought that I needed to line up the how and the deliverable to look a certain way. Okay. And now it seems as if the baby is being born. You know how, the baby it's at full term now. And it's no planning. I can't get to the hospital quick enough.
It's coming in the cab, right?
It's coming. The baby is coming. And I'm not even having to do what I told myself I was going to have to do. And they're telling me, oh, LaTanya, can we have a conference call with you? We're coming. And now I have almost the exact number. We'll be one of the ones to add to that number, Sabira.
Hey.
And that I had envisioned, that I had verbalized, prayed about, affirmed about, got in motion around, and now it's growing. It's going to be at a tipping point. Retreat in Costa Rica. We've been saying that, right? We said that on our
we really have. Thank you for the good news. That's just another good thing to add to my day.
Yeah. So it is magical. It is money charm. We are still charming our way to our wealth, and there is a population of us who want to charm it. We don't want to struggle. We don't want to fight with it. We don't want to do there. So that's what we're talking. Yes. So it's been fun, y'all. When we go over and get to going like this, we know spirit is at work. It's really not us. It really is spirit moving through us to you. And you know, when you get it and it feels good to you, something, whether it's ouch, amen, or ooh wee, hit us and let us know that there was something that you heard. If it's all three, just hit us with amen, ouch, ooh wee, and just let us know. Give us. Let's have an exchange here.
And for some of them, they're gonna say, "Damn."
Ouch, ooh wee, damn.
We'll take that too. Just hit us up.
Yeah, let's have an energetic exchange if something you heard today or later resonates with your spirit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Last thing, LaTanya, before we go, I just want to remind folks to reach out to us again about the Money Charmer Club. We are opening it this week.
Yes.
It is not going to be open indefinitely, and we do have a certain number of spaces available. And so let us know that you want to be a part of this this Money Charmer Club, so that we can go ahead and do what's necessary to get you in and get your space secure and start working with you. That's the big thing, is to get in action.
Yes, yes. And all of the principles that we've already talked about in the last 4 weeks will be expounded on in more detail, plus some other areas that will be generative for you to create other streams of income, or to shift around a particular area where you will have almost unlimited coaching, because there's 3 coaches, a private space, and then we will give you content for each week that expounds on the last 4 weeks that you've already experienced with us. So that's it. We are so excited about those of you who are coming. We're so excited for those of you who have stayed with us, and we look forward to seeing you on the other side. Let's go on and create a new economic reality using Money Charm. Have a great day, everyone.
See you next week.